Today's podcast is supported by David Smith of Edward Jones. Are you happy with your financial strategy? Or maybe like to see what other opportunities are out there? Well, give David a call at 469-372-1587. That's 469-372-1587. David is only concerned about one person, that's you and your financial health. So check him out, David Smith, Edward Jones, 469-372-1587. Hey everybody, it's the Trout, and hope you're having a great day, and welcome to the Trout Show. You know, the majority of the musicians that I've interviewed, and I've interviewed dozens of them, doesn't matter where they're located, anywhere in the world, they all pretty much tell me the same thing, that they started performing when they were a very young age. Personally, myself, I started playing guitar when I was 12, and I wrote my first song and performed it in front of a bunch of people when I was in 8th grade. Our guest today is no exception, except she started playing piano, at least sat at the keyboard to try to play piano, when she was 3 years old. Her name's Whorms. She's a Toronto-based musician, artist, composer, a lot of things. But she sat down and talked to me about her career. And Alex is one of those people that just has been doing a lot of different things, but there's a lot of interesting things about her. First off, she went to the university to become a science major, and that's what she has her degree in, with a minor in music. But also while she was in school, she got concussions that messed up her life for a long time, and she couldn't really do anything with music. But along the way, somebody and some people touched her, and she said, you know what I want to do? I want to do music the rest of my life. And she's parlayed her career at a young age in her 20s to being very successful. She's written music for CBC, which is a Canadian broadcasting company, other projects. She's now working as a musical consultant on a TV show. And she has her own music channel where you can listen to her on Spotify and all that. But she also has a band. So she's done a little bit of everything. And she has a great story to tell. So up next, Whorms, a classic trained musician, brings a little class to the show, if you know what I mean, up next to tell her story on The Trout Show. That's next.
It'd be so nice to see you again. Don't know if I ever will. And I'm so tired of wishing and waiting for you to come back home, for you to come back home. I've been all around this town, but I would like to see it all. I want time and I want money, I want everything this world can give me, 'cause one day I'll be gone. One day I'll be gone.
When did you sit down at your first piano? How old were you?
Oh, I remember being 3 and, climbing the piano bench because I was too short to sit on it properly, and opening one of my dad's piano books.
Was it
from
like a
Phantom of
Spinet?
the
Like
Opera.
an open, yeah. Or
It was a Clavinova. It was a digital
yeah.
weighted
Okay.
piano
Yeah.
that my dad still has, actually. And I remember opening the book and like pretending to play because I had no idea how to read notes at 3.
It's kind of like when I got my first guitar, I'm just going, listen to this. Yeah.
But like that's the first time I actually remember, and I've seen the home videos of like me as an infant in the little baby carrier like under the piano while my dad was playing. So like I had been listening to that thing, since day one.
So is he still play? I mean, was he a professional musician, or was that something he did for fun?
For fun, yeah. My dad is an electrical engineer, but we had like a lot of our family, especially on my dad's side, that we're all hobby musicians, and pretty good hobby musicians. Like we had a musical family, so I was surrounded by it.
So when
again,
so here's my question. The reason I ask you that, when you started doing the studio work, when you were doing this science project, were you a performer at that point? Had you started performing in front of people?
Yes, I had.
So you knew before you even did it to a certain degree. Of course, I'm being a rock blues guy. I understand it completely because I tell people all the time, and I interview a lot of independent, but I also interview some big names too. And nothing gets better than, and you're a little bit different, we're going to get into your music in a second, but nothing's better as a performer than A, when people respond to a song that you like, that you wrote, and B, if they actually start singing it with you.
Yes.
And the third part of that is, and you can only know this, Alex, if you perform in front of people, is when you have the audience on your side.
Mm-hmm.
That changes everything. So when you started you already knew some of this, the relationship between the singer and the audience, because somebody told me years ago, and I tell young people this all the time, when you walk on stage, people want to like you. It's not like they don't want to like you, and it's your job to make sure they continue to like you. You know what I mean? So you got started doing that, and when did you do I guess the movement, so to speak, when you said, "Oh, I want to do this like for a living"? And when did you start writing? You started writing. What was the type? I know I just saw your thing this morning. You just posted on Instagram. I think it may have been a new one, a reel that you just posted up. How long ago was that made? It was obviously at a TV channel that you did something.
Oh, we did that. That was on Saturday.
Okay, so you just
2 days
recently.
ago.
Okay, all right. So, and you said that you were classically trained. You didn't get pop music, and I understand that. I still don't get it now, but that's okay.
I get it. I do get it now, though. Like
but you understand.
I've gotten to that point. But yes, I do. Yeah.
So when was it you started writing and said, "Oh, I want to write"? Did you lean towards, because your background's being classical, but did you start writing more classical type pieces, or did you start writing and then had your voice, in which you have a beautiful voice, by the way.
Thank you.
And so what happened first, the chicken or the egg? What happened?
That's a great question. Well, for me, I was the classical piano kid, growing up.
I have to ask you real quick, who was your favorite to perform?
What style is my favorite to perform?
What artist? I mean, what composer?
Oh, like composer. I love Alexander Scriabin, who is not as well known as Beethoven, Rachmaninoff, Chopin. I love all of them too. Yeah. But Scriabin, I think deserves to be.
Now, when did he live? When was he alive?
About the same time
period?
as Romantic era composers. Okay. So 1700. I could be wrong. I'm going to say 1700s.
He's dead. We don't care.
Oh yeah, long time.
Better call us.
Long time ago.
So anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry. I just wanted to know.
So yeah, my when did I start making things up? Well, so it's funny. So the TV show, you saw the reel of that we shot on Saturday. For that, I had to go into the archives and find, videos of me growing up and playing, because it's they're doing this episode kind of about, my upbringing and my, turning into a full-time musician. And there's me again around 3 years old, having climbed up on my dad's piano bench, and I'm just, banging at the keys and singing about, my toys and things. And my dad's behind the video camera, and I'm singing. It's really, really cute. Singing about, playing outside and reading books. And then I turn to my dad and I go, "Okay, your turn." And then my dad's saying something random about like shoveling the snow outside. And then he goes, "Your turn." And then I started singing again. So I think my dad, was kind of got me started with that from when I was really young, just that creativity. But so studying classical, and then I didn't sing for a while. I think I, maybe got to 7 or 8, and then I was too shy to sing, right. But I played. And I do remember, making up little classical inspired melodies on the piano. But when I really, really started getting interested in writing songs and not just learning the compositions of the classical composers that I loved, it was around age 12, because at that time I kind of stumbled into musical theater, and then I wanted to sing because I thought musicals and Broadway music was awesome. So I was in an environment where we were singing this really emotional music because, of course, music in stage productions exists to drive the plot forward and to express kind of what a character is
Yes.
feeling or working on. And
Always
it's
over the top, a lot over the top.
right?
Yes.
And it's always about like the character is usually not the same from the beginning of a song to the end. Like usually there's some kind of
Gotcha.
realization or transformation.
Right.
And that kind of stuff, when you're 12, 13, you're trying to form an identity and like so it was kind of like me writing music kind of turned into my own like personal stage musical because I would be thinking about things and trying to figure out, how I felt about whatever things were going on in my day-to-day life. And I started just coming home from school, getting off the bus and like writing a song about something that had happened that day. And it happened pretty organically because that I was around musical theater and I was around the piano. And I eventually stopped journaling and just started songwriting. And that was 12, 13. And I just did it for myself. I think the older I got, I think I was maybe, I started playing and singing cover songs on stage maybe around
Now,
15.
when you say cover songs, what cover songs were you doing?
I think the first time I ever performed on piano and voice at the same time, it was a cover of Out Here on My Own from Fame. It was
Okay.
Arlene Cara.
I was
But
going
then
to
it
say it had to
was
be from a musical
it
or
was
something
from a
like that.
musical.
Yeah.
And then it was Sarah Bareilles, and then it was Carole King, and I
Oh,
started discovering, so many other, discovering Regina Spektor was a huge moment in my life because I always liked eccentric music too. When I talk about Scriabin, like I didn't like Haydn, I didn't like Mozart. I liked
hmm.
music that was like I loved Bartok as well. So music that was a
Different.
little bit asymmetrical, and so Regina Spektor, I don't know if you're familiar with her music, but especially her early work the genre is anti-folk. So it's a little bit, it's pretty strange, if you've never,
Anti-folk.
but it's
Interesting.
fantastic. And she was doing all this cool acrobatic stuff with her voice. And I couldn't stop listening once I discovered her. So, and just kind of for me realizing like what piano vocal music
Hmm.
could be,
Hmm.
you know, um, so it was, I would cover all of these artists that I really liked. And eventually, I think I was about 16 when I had the courage to play and sing something that I had written it was like a talent show or something. And
Yeah.
I never really stopped doing it after that. Even though I went to university to study science, I moved to Hamilton. I would go to the open mics on campus, and like I had some little bar gigs, and I just kind of again organically I was out there playing music I had written, and I connected with the people who would eventually be the producer on my first EP, and I just I got swept up in the scene. And the moment back to your question now, like the moment I kind of realized I don't want to do science anymore. I have to try this.
Then you started writing, you were 16, but then you had to make the transition, I think, to say, when did it hit you? I'm sure sometime when you were in university, when did you say to yourself, I want to do this for a living the rest of my life? How old were you?
Yeah.
Do you remember when that was? I
Oh,
mean,
it would have
it's
been,
not something that just hits like that. I know it's something you think about, but when did that
yeah.
happen?
And it, couldn't tell you exactly the year, but I had a rough time in university health-wise. I had several serious concussions.
Mm,
So I spent a lot of time off. Like there were several semesters where I only had one course or I didn't have any courses because I was trying to recover.
mm,
um, and it would be like, well, I can, when I got well enough to play the piano without the noise bothering me too much,
mm.
it was like, well, I would go play the pianos. I was doing a classical piano minor. So I was still I was still being taught by professors in the
Your
Faculty of
major was
Music.
science? Is that what you
My,
said? Your major was okay.
yes. And, it was always like, throughout my life, like I'd always kind of, I am interested in science. I still keep track with some of
Sure,
my
yeah.
favorite topics, but it was always this balancing act of, okay, I'm good at science. I'm better at music. Science careers are stable. And I didn't know any professional musicians personally really until I moved to university, right?
Yeah.
I didn't really have anyone I could ask for advice. But the moment it hit me that I cannot, re-enroll in science classes was I had just done, so my first EP had come out, I was still a science major. And then I got accepted to do an exchange at New York University
I
studying
did see where you were in New
their,
York. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
and
What was
I
it?
went
What,
to New York
let
City.
me interrupt for a second. The EP that you did, what was it like? What kind of music was it? Was it something like you write now, or was it something completely different? Concerned about your financial health? And reach out to David Smith with Edward Jones. 469-372-1587. That's 469-372-1587. He can conduct business where you are. Get your financial health checkup with David Smith with Edward Jones. His number one concern is you. That's David Smith with Edward Jones. 469-372-1587.
It was like an early less I like to think just like a less developed version of what I'm
Okay.
doing now. Like it
Okay.
turned into, I would call it like it's kind of folk, piano pop folk. But I've developed a lot kind of since then. My
Do you
sound
listen to
is
it and go,
now.
"Oh my gosh, I can't believe I was that." But
Yeah, I don't really listen to it anymore. And, because
yeah,
it just doesn't, it was my first, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just excited to
sure.
have the opportunity to make
Oh
it.
yeah.
And it's, when I do hear it, it pops up on my Spotify once in a while. It just makes me think about like, oh wow, like I'm a much better singer now.
Mhm.
I'm a much better everything. And it just makes me feel good because I can see how much I've learned. Um, but anyways, I go to New York City. I live there for a couple of months. I'm playing at open mics, 6 or 7 days a week,
Mm.
and I'm around so many venues, so many creative people, and like the teachers at the university were really, really inspiring. And I come back and I go, I'm not going back to chemistry class. I can't. I
Yeah.
can't do it because being there, it was just so inspiring. And I realized, like, you know what, like I have to try music. I don't know exactly what I'm doing yet, but I have to try because if I don't, I'm going to regret it for the rest of my life.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that was probably, I don't know, 4 years ago or something. And
So you're still new to the game. I mean, you
oh,
still
yeah,
are. But the
I've
thing
got a
about
lot to
you, I
learn
think,
still.
is I think the thing about you is the fact that, and you made a comment earlier, which is true. When you start out, I interviewed a gal that had a nurse. She had a degree in biology or something. She was something else, and then she started playing blues all the time. Is what she did. But she said, if I ever it doesn't work, I can go back to it. You
Hmm.
know, of course, she didn't want to, but I can. But the thing about it for you is the fact that you were writing stuff, and I can hear you sitting at the piano playing, doing your thing, and but then all of a sudden, somewhere along the line, where did you get the gig to go? Ooh, I think I can write music for this commercial, or I can write, some stuff for this show or whatever. How did that come about?
It was during it was in 2020 when we had the first COVID lockdown here in Ontario, and I had always I had been working as a professional musician and drawing on what I had learned in university and learning on the job quite a bit. And one thing that I always wished I had was a degree, like a major in music. I wish I had had that experience. And in COVID, I was able to apply to do an online graduate program in music composition. So I was at Humber College in Toronto online studying there. So I did get some of that music post-secondary
Hmm.
education I wanted. Um, and I was interested in film scoring. It was something I'd always been interested in,
Oh,
but
wow.
never had the time to kind of investigate, and so it was part of my major projects in that program were in film scoring while I was at Humber, and I just met all the film students at the university that I could, and I just asked. I was just like, "Hey, I'm a composer. Like, if you're making a movie, like, here I am. I can do the score." And I started doing as many student films as I could, and from there I just ended up with a portfolio of film music, and I actually just before we got on this call, I sent it off to another director. So my network in the TV industry grew because of the pandemic, and film sets were back working, I think, before live music was. So I really got a couple years of doing mostly film industry work while all that was going down.
So the show that you are working on I think it's already finished. The one that's like Schitt's Creek or whatever it is.
Girl Logic. Yes.
Is that released yet, or is that just a Canadian project, or what is that? Is it finished now, or is it in series, or what's the story on the one that you've been working on or have worked on?
It's in pre-production. So we've actually been I've been emailing them today too. So what Girl Logic is, we got we're hoping it'll I've had I've done some work for CBC, which is the which produces Schitt's Creek and Kim's Convenience, and we're hoping our show is going to get there.
Get picked up. It's not picked up yet.
Not yet. And what we've done so far, we're just applying for funding to make it. So we were able to make what you would have seen online is a trailer. So that was one grant that we were awarded to make a proof of concept for the show.
Okay.
So, and that trailer is what we made.
Now, where is that? Grant. Is that on? Where can I find that? Is that on your website?
Oh yeah, it's on Girl Logic the series is the handle on Instagram, TikTok.
Okay. I'll look for it.
And I believe the website is. Let me just double check what the website is. girllogictheseries.com.
Okay.
And we are currently, this week, applying for grants and funding so that we can make the entire show. So it's in development.
What's the premise?
It's a rock band of 4 women in their early 20s, and they're trying to get their career off the ground and escape their small town Ontario lives.
Now, are you writing the background music, or you're writing I assume they're rock music, so you're not really a rock songwriter, or are you helping write that? What's your stuff that you're doing for the show?
My title is creative consultant, and that for the trailer we made and for the series going forward, I'm overseeing all musical aspects of the show. So
cool.
That includes, looking through the story and making sure everything they've written is something that would actually happen.
You're a musician, you would know, yeah.
Right. So
the ladies that started, are they real musicians or they pretend?
The actors we had in the trailer, some of them played a little bit, and that was actually something that we've been discussing. Is what I think what I've suggested that we do is everyone gets some lessons on their instrument. We didn't want to limit the casting to.
Please do that.
Right. Well, it's important. And, part of me being on set for every shoot that we've done is running back and forth, fixing people's fingers, right, on the instrument and making sure everything looks right. But it's been really fun for me because, I know, the basics of all these instruments, although, I would never play drums or bass on a real recording yet, but I know enough, right? And so it's been fun. So it's been script editing, but it's now also going to be songwriting, facilitating production and recording of songs in the show.
Yeah, because you're going to they have to have something that you can sing. Exactly.
We're waiting for our funding, right? And we've tossed around ideas like, okay, are we going to do doubles? Are we going to do, exactly, because this is a show, we still have to figure this out. And most likely it will be teaching the actors how to play whatever they have to play well enough for it to, they'll have to be able to play it because this show, the demographic, the people, I mean, it'll appeal to non-musicians as well for sure, but one of the reasons I love this show in particular out of everything I've worked on, it's my life, right? Like I mean, I'm not a rock musician, but
you're still a musician.
I'm a woman in my 20s in this, male-dominated,
Yes.
seriously challenging industry. And, this show is going to appeal to other musicians because they're going to see themselves in it. And, so knowing that the audience is going to be musicians, that's something we really have to do, right? And I'm really looking forward to it. I'm very excited to be able to work on this.
Well, the other reason I want to interview is exactly what you just got through saying. It's male dominated. And I am trying to find, if I see a bass player, in fact, we're having a big show here in Dallas in May. It's called the Dallas International Guitar Festival. And there must be 30 performers playing. Now, there's a couple of women. There's one I found, and she's a phenomenal guitar player. Now, this is all, I always call it making spaghetti where you're playing a lot of notes. But she's phenomenally good. And I'm always looking for people. That's why I wanted to reach out to you, is because I'm always looking for more women, especially if women are playing a bass guitar or even playing lead guitar. It's always funny when you think about it, when you see a woman taking a Strat and then putting her wah-wah pedal with a double stack of Marshalls behind them, ripping that thing off, because we're so used to guys doing it. And so I really appreciate that, because what I like to see now is more women are getting involved in it. It's not the classic girl band stuff, that we've had over the decades. It's more of what you just got through saying. And it really intrigued me. The show did immediately, because I saw the picture on your website and the fact that it was Schitt's Creek, come on. But I was sitting there listening to you, and I'm going like, you've already written some stuff that's done very well. I know you've already got some awards. You're on your way. I mean, I think it's so cool that I get to talk to someone like you that has that ability. And what's happened to me is I'm lucky in one aspect, that when I find people that are kind of on their way up. I mean, the one thing I say to people all the time is, if you're in the musician club, you're in. Mm-hmm. And you just got through saying a while ago, classically trained, you don't know all this stuff, but you're in the club.
Yeah.
What else have you got going on? I mean, obviously your song how long did it come out? February that you released the news?
February, last day of February, yeah. So it's been
okay,
out.
so what do you do? Okay, this is a weird part in your life right now. You have a lot of avenues you can go down, but eventually you'll have to make that decision. It'll be made for you probably, because you obviously like playing stuff, because you write some wonderful songs. And now the stuff that you record, is that done? Do you go to studio to record it, or do you do it there?
Yes.
Both.
Generally, so I actually have 2 more EPs, and they're done, that I have to now figure out how I'm going to release. One is an EP of classical piano solos, and the other one is indie rock original music of mine. So I have not narrowed down at all. I think so. And on top of that, there's other films I'm working on. I'm really hoping for Girl Logic that we'll get our funding and we'll be able to make it this year. And yeah, I do remote recording for other artists. So I've recorded this piano
I was wondering if you did
several other songs written by other musicians, and I've done remote vocal recording myself as well for my own music. Whenever possible, when I have the funding, I will always go to another studio, just because I prefer, if it's my song, I want to focus on performing it. I don't want to be thinking about the engineering. It's just a lot at once, right? In terms of what's going to happen, I don't know, because I've kind of I have to rewrite my biography every time I release a song, right? And what has been kind of when you're starting out, or when I was starting out writing songs and going to my first workshops and whatever, people were very dead set on, you have to be able to explain what you do in one sentence, and you need to narrow down so that anyone looking at your socials or whatever is not confused about who you are and what you do and what you sound like. And I've actually seen more recently, it seems to me like people are they are diversifying. I think part of that is to do with the streaming music and, you know, the necessity of, you know, music creators to have multiple income streams, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But what I think people are starting to know about me and just expect from me is that I bend genres. I've been trained through my music composition education to be able to study a style of music, figure out what makes it that style, and then do that and then make it, you know, that's literally the training. We had assignments where we were instructed to pick the style of music we knew the least about, and then we had to study it, write it. Right. And I'm right now, I'm very cool and excited about, I'm cool with that being my thing. Like if I'm the person who likes to experiment with different styles, and when I hear something new that I like, usually, again, very organically, that's what I start writing. And I think there's still a common thread, though, even though the instrumentation from album to album might change, or the style might change.
There's always
exactly. It's still coming through the lens of me and my perspectives on things and my experiences. And I think I'm not worried about choosing a certain path.
No, I think the thing that you got going on for you, and I talked to another young man. He was 10 years old, already playing stuff, phenomenal. I mean, already.
I love that.
And I said, do you want to play? You know, a lot of people just want to play in front of 15,000 screaming fans or whatever. And he said, you know, I want to play a lot of different instruments, kind of like you, okay? He's a lot younger than you. But I said, what's great about it, and I'm going to tell you the same thing, people want you because you have that ability. Hey, get Alex, doesn't she play this? Oh yeah, bring her in. And you get a style. I mean, it's like we were talking about Beethoven and Liszt, Haydn. We all listen to those. They all had their style. But if you're a studio musician per se, kind of, you could get a job all the time. I mean, because that's the thing. You may not be the one they remember, but it doesn't matter. Do you live in an apartment? Is that your apartment you live in?
Yes.
You obviously have a nice place. You'd be doing okay, you know. And I try to tell people, well, that's what I'm saying. And I try to tell younger people, you don't have to be a rock star to make a good living at it. Just do stuff that you enjoy. I think what you're doing is really cool. Now, do you enjoy? This is completely off track a little bit. Would you enjoy? You did perform. Would you still enjoy getting in front of people? And two questions: one to do with the show, but one with yourself. If you could wave a wand, would you put a band together and do a big gig? I mean, if you could get 10,000 people there, was that something you'd enjoy doing?
Absolutely. And, you know, it's thinking about all of the different things I like to do. You know, if it was between scoring a movie I really wanted to score and going on a big concert tour with my band, I would go with my band. Absolutely. Like, and I think that's the beauty of, and I do play with a band and they're fantastic. And I think if I was going to choose one favorite part of all of these things, it would definitely be that. But yeah, you know, the beauty of having so many, you know, different skills is that I do have choices all the time. It's, am I gonna do this or this? They both need to be done this month. I can't do both. It's having the choice to take on the projects that are most meaningful to me, whether it's one of my own projects or something I'm working on, you know, with somebody else. And I'm, you know, really excited at, you know, all the different things, you know, I'll get to work on. And that variety is one of the things I love about this career. Thank you so much.
Yeah, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Too much pop on the radio and the TV stations, take the new songs and shut them out. We were dialed in to stupid high expectations, everyday life and everyday love. When I called into question lengths we go to fit in, I couldn't see the end. I had written 11 ballads for my boyfriend and picked up my pen. I've written too many love songs in the face of my fears since I've been with you. Why do I feel like a winner in someone else's shoes? I've written too many love songs, I wish they were true. There was pop on the patio, and there was a case of beer, and we keep on pushing that envelope. I know it's irresponsible to drink for attention. It's either lose out or lose myself. And I counted the coasters, the kisses to my collar, feeling angry and confused. How I want not to want to, I hate the mainstream media. I realize that I've been used, and I've written too many love songs in the face of my fears since I've been with you. Why do I feel like a winner in someone else's shoes? I've written too many love songs, I wish they were true.
Well, that's it for this episode of The Trout Show. Thanks so much for listening. A special thanks to Alex Whorms for her coming on my show. For more information about her, you can visit her on her website at alexwhorms.com. Also, a very big thank you for our sponsor, David Smith with Edward Jones. Remember, you can always find more information about The Trout Show by visiting our website, whether you want to listen to it on podcast or watch it on YouTube. So thanks again, everybody, and remember what I always say, it's only rock and roll, but we love it. Until next time, see ya.